So we'll call this meeting to order again for the recording's sake. We'll let the record show that it's 7:02 p.m. First item on the agenda is call to order and roll call. So we'll have the record show that all 6 of us are here. Correspondence. Did we receive any correspondence from the last meeting? I'm not aware of anything that came in from the outside, so to speak.
I did see something via Amy St. Orange. This is Rob Wurge, Board of Finance, Aaron. I saw something by email via Amy that I think is correspondence. Maybe it's citizen's comment. Maybe I get those mixed up.
If it was a citizen's comment, then I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, okay. Scratch that.
No worries. I did see that, yes. Anything else? I don't recall anything else coming from the outside. So if there's no official correspondence, then we move on to citizens' comments. And there's a few different ways for those of you who are joining us a meeting of this format for the first time. There's a few different ways to share your comments if you have any. One is to click the chat button, which you'll see down below, and you can enter your comments that way. Or if you click the chat button, you can click the raise your hand button, or as in Kathleen Herbert's example, she just said, I have a comment to make. So I'm happy to recognize Kathleen Herbert at this time. Go ahead, Kathleen. And for the record, could you state your address, please?
Yes, this is Kathleen Herbert, 122 Wilsonville Road. I have two comments to make. First, I would like to lay out for the Board of Finance the major elements of the Board of Education's requested increase. I'm not sure that you're clear on these, and I want to make them clear. The dollar amounts of our requested increase. First, the health insurance and the workers' comp. Together, that's $477,000. We share this expense with the town. The town's portion was $149,000. The school is $477,000. We are together as one pool so that we can recognize the savings, the expense to this expense for the community. We make a larger pool, in other words, by joining the town to the school. Special education, $360,000. This is up from last year because last year's budget was 16 students out of district placement. This year, there's 26 students that are out of district placements. Now, this could have been potentially $500,000 higher, but we brought in the Bradley program, which you see in our packet, saved $56,000 per out-of-district placement. And we also opened this program from students to other outside districts. And the more students from these outside districts we have, we get reduced savings in our tuition also. And we've also discussed the $226,000 in capital improvements. Whether that falls with us or with the town, we've yet to determine. So those are the major elements. There's $100,000 net in salaries increase. We've not increased our staff. We've done some shifting, and there's been some reduction through attrition. Also, I would like to make the statement I make every year. This year's revaluation increase realized by most homeowners in Thompson just brings our homes back to even after 2 consecutive revaluations that for most of us devalued our homes. In other words, our home values are back to where they were essentially 10 years ago, adjusted somewhat for inflation. We are now whole in our investment in our home. For those of you who bought within the last 10 years, well, you made out and increased your equity. But for a lot of us who have long-standing roots in the town of Thompson, we weathered these devaluations in our homes. We had tough times through 2008 where and where have we gotten? We tightened our belts and our town has not progressed. Possibly someday you will want to sell your home and move to warmer climates. And for this, we all want our equity or our investment in our homes to be as high as possible, just as we would want any stock in our portfolio to be. Investing in a quality school system helps ensure this in multiple ways. Education is the essential foundation for prosperity and opportunity, not only for the student, but for the town who makes the investment. Local economies flourish when there are more skilled workers. Quality schools attract young families looking for good schools for their children, which in turn brings the small businesses to support their needs, such as pharmacies, cafes, restaurants, and other small shops. Quality schools protect your home's value. Towns with greater quality schools tend to weather real estate market fluctuations better. By investing what amounts to a few dollars more each month in real estate taxes makes a large difference in the return on investment in your home. And to prove this, I will close with two local examples, which I gathered from Niche, N-I-C-H-E, or Niche. It's similar to Zillow. It compares towns for the real estate market. I took Thompson. We have a school rating of C, with our median home value of $206,000. And I compared it to Woodstock. And the reason I took Woodstock is it's a town with a very similar makeup to us. It doesn't have industry, it doesn't have a lot of stores, and it has mostly single owner homes. Their median home value is $256,000. Their school rating is a B-, which is 24% higher than ours. So in other words, if I took my house and moved it to Woodstock, I could expect to get 24% higher value for my home. And that's all I have to say. Appreciate it. And if you want me to send you a worksheet on the actual dollar amounts that make up our increase, I can do that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Kathleen.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Looks like we've got a comment here that came in the chat button. It's from Jessica Bolte, 1081 Riverside Drive, and it says, we need to stop kicking the can down the road. We will not have any growth here if we do not start investing in our town. That means a quality school and a robust town offering. With the continuous cuts every year, we will not have that, and we will continue to fall farther behind. Okay. So again, if you have a comment, you can enter into the chat button the way that Jessica just did. If you click the chat button, it actually gives you the opportunity to click a button that says raise hand, or it is possible to, I believe it's possible to unmute yourself so that you can request to be recognized. Let's see, in the meantime, okay, looks like, so Jessica Bolte added to her comment, it says, and another request for a second session of citizens' comment. Okay, so in the meantime, I will wait for any additional citizens' comments. There's one that came in through the Selectman's office. This was submitted Friday, May 1st at 7:13 p.m. It's from Maria Jezierski. Okay, she put in her email address. Looks like she didn't put in her street address. So we'll see if we can find Maria Jezierski's street address. In the meantime, she says, message, I would like to voice my opinion on the fact that we will not be voting on the budget this year. First of all, I would like to know if it's possible to do a mail-in vote. Second, if that's not possible, I believe that a flat budget should be passed. given the fact that it took 5 times to pass the budget last year, I don't think it would be a good idea to force a budget on us that we can't vote on. Sincerely, Maria Jezierski. Okay. And I'll make a note to find her address so we can enter it to the minutes. All right. I don't see any other activity with the chat button. So if you do have a comment, this is your opportunity. If your comment is lengthy, it's taking you, it's going to take you, oh, here we go. We just got another one from me. So I'm about to read Danielle Carlson's comment. And so if you have a comment and you want to just click the chat button and just say, please hold, I'm formulating my thought, and hit enter, then I'll hold on. I won't move on to the next item on the agenda without you. So this is from Danielle Carlson, 3 Rachel Drive, North Gordondale. It says, investing in public schools is investing in our prosperity as a town. Flat budget would send us backwards. Thank you, Kathleen, on your feedback and incredible information. Okay. So if there are any other comments, so then Kathleen Herbert would like to be requested to be recognized again. So go ahead, Kathleen.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. This is Kathleen Herbert, 122 Wilsonville Road. Although we would all like a flat budget, that would be wonderful. And we cannot vote. I understand that, which is a shame. I don't agree with that. I think Vernon had a great idea. In a small town like ours, I do think going to the polls is possible and still keep social distancing. If everyone wore a mask and the attendants there wore gloves, I don't understand why we couldn't do it. But we can't, and that's a reality that we have to live with. And I'm going to preach to the choir here because you all know that the responsibilities of the Board of Finance is not to keep the budget the lowest it can be. It is to pass a responsible budget for the town. And a responsible budget for the town does not mean cheap. It means covering the expenses that are necessary to be covered. And necessary covering expenses for this town is our contractual expenses and what will bring the town forward into the future, what will progress our town. Our town has been stagnant. We have not invested in this town for the last 10 years. We had a downturn in 2008, and since then we have kept this budget and our mill rate at the lowest we could possibly increase it. And where has our town gotten? Last year we did some road work. We outsourced the road work. Thank goodness for that. But in the over 5 years, we put nothing into our school. And our school is now in an alliance district. That's a shame. We should all be shamed by that. We're rated C. We should all be shamed by that. We've brought in a smart and fantastic woman to run our school, and she's running it on a shoestring. We should all be shamed by that. If we gave her some resources, our school could be a B school. I'm not saying we'll be A, that's Greenwich. That's, towns with huge money. We don't have that kind of money. But we should be ashamed. Our town in 10 years has gone nowhere. We're scrimping and we're saving just for the cost of a couple cups of coffee a week at Dunkin' Donuts. We need to invest in this town and we need to bring it into the future. And we need to make this a thriving little town. We're right on the border where things are happening in Massachusetts that are going to bring people into our town. We've got new developments coming. We've got people who are going to be moving into here and they want things to do. They want resources. We want people to invest in this town. We want a quality school system for their children. We want them to move here and not to Woodstock. And we're talking about, yeah, we have people that are older, but we also want their houses to stay valued. So this town is so short-sighted. We're today and we don't think of the future. We need to think of the future of this town, what's best for this town, and how this town is going to grow. So I know I'm on a soapbox, I'm sorry, but this has been happening for the last 10 years, year after year after year, and we're gonna go nowhere. So we've got to think what's best for this town, and what's best for this town. All we're asking for is for you to cover our needed expenses. We're not asking you to, if you were to cut us with that, so we couldn't pay our insurance, and so we couldn't pay for the special ed. Now we need to go to Hartford and fight for some of this. Then we'd have to cut into the regular education for our students. So you would be taking away from our general education school, and you would hurt those children. And those children are going to be the first responders. They're going to be the doctors. They're going to be the teachers. They're going to be your future people, the bankers and the skilled labor forces of the future. And you're going to be hurting their education because I couldn't pay the health insurance for the teachers that I'm contracted to pay. That's all I've got to say. I'm sorry, but that's it. Bye.
Thank you, Kathleen.
You're
So we had a comment from Dick Trudeau. It's actually a question, and I just wanted to clarify that this is citizens' comments as opposed to citizens' questions and answers, but this question is one that could easily be on the mind of any member of the Board of Finance, so I trust that we'll get the answer to that as soon as we roll into the budget workshop section of the agenda. But his question is, do we have any indication that the state will come through with the dollars that they are supposed to provide? And Dick Trudeau lives at 192 Wager Road. So thank you for that question, Dick. We'll keep that in mind as we go into the next item on the agenda. Also, what came in, thank you, Rob Mann. Looks like Maria Jezierski lives at 1 Jezierski Lane in Thompson. So I'm not seeing any more activity on the chat button. And I'm not hearing anyone requesting that they be recognized. So this is the final call for citizens' comments, if anyone has a comment at this time. Okay, so we'll move on to budget workshop. And I'm pretty sure when we finished the last meeting, we were going over, I call it Rob Wirge's budget tool because I don't know what else to call it, but it's the comparison of FY20 budgeted amount versus FY21 proposed amount, arranged by who's looking, what line items are looking for the biggest increase year to year, then down to the smallest, and then the ones that go in the opposite direction, down at the bottom. I know that we had gotten to animal control operator because I remember that that created a bit of conversation. We actually went to that section of the budget. We made a change there, and I don't recall how much further did we get beyond that. Does anyone remember how much further we got beyond the animal control operator?
Yeah, Aaron, it's Rob Wirge. I think we also talked about the bridge assessment. We voted after that, after the animal discussion, we voted to remove that $50,000 from the transfer section.
And that's in the 8102 transfer section of that spreadsheet?
That's correct.
Got it.
And then I think we touched back on the roll-off truck and decided to not move yes or no, but to keep it in consideration. I think we're about to jump into the salt shed was where we left off, I believe.
Yep. So meaning this all still falls on the line item called transfers in that budget tool that you had presented to the board.
That's my understanding. If
Yep.
anyone has a different view, I think that's about where we were from the notes I have.
That sounds
Aaron,
about
Rhonda,
right. Go ahead,
can I
Rhonda.
speak, Aaron? Rhonda Rooney, Board of
Yes.
Finance. I just wanted to add too, we were also looking at, I think we got sidetracked over to this, but we were also looking at the reductions that Amy had shared with Orla for all the departments. So
That's right.
I don't know if we need to look at those, or we could just say, you know, yes, we're willing to definitely put all those adjustments in because they came from those departments, and then add it into this platform so that it's already figured in here, unless it already is.
I would
Orla.
like, Aaron McGarry, I would like to look at those. I just wanted to pay, out of respect for where we were last time, I know that I had told Rob Words early in the budget season, he said, I got this budget tool, and I said, yeah, let's do it. So I wanted to make sure we get through this budget tool. And as soon as we feel like we've gotten far enough through this that we're comfortable, I would like to, I noticed that the recommendations that Amy Sanj and Orla came up with, I think it was in time for last week's meeting. It runs right through the gamut of the budget. And so I actually have some cuts that I'd like to make. If everybody's okay with that, I'd like to just take it from the top and then just quickly go page, 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 page.
That's fine with me. I just wanted to bring it out as a thing. That's all. Thank you.
Yep, cool.
This is Steve Herbert, Board of Finance. Aaron, just or maybe it's a question for Amy. Are these suggestions, which I think Orla developed with department heads, are they, I don't know what their word is, endorsed, or have they been voted on by the Board of Selectmen themselves, or help me understand the sort of the source behind these suggested modifications?
Hi, Steve. It's Amy St. Ange. This has not, these changes or adjustments have not gone back to the Board of Selectmen. These are department heads that have made adjustments based on various circumstances. Recreation in particular is seeing a lot of fluctuating changes due to the situation that we are all currently in. And yeah, it was just one way to, you know, rethink the budget based on current circumstances.
Thank you.
Okay. So we were on transfers. And as Rob Word suggests, looks like we were about to discuss the salt shed. Anyone feel like they want to make any reductions to the salt shed? Personally, I would like to, if we, any way possible, if we can leave the $50,000 there to get this design going for the salt shed, I would be favorable to that if it's possible.
This is Jim Bellavance, Board of Finance.
Go ahead, Jim.
Taking that $50,000 away is just a gigantic mistake, folks. This is something we need to act on. This has been since 2008. This has been going on, and you know what? This is something we have to do. I think this is something, it just can't be taken out. This is something that is that important to the town.
Rob Mann, Board of Finance. Are you done, Jim? I'm sorry.
Yes, I am.
Go ahead, Rob Mann.
I agree with Jim 100%. I won't be voting on removing anything from the salt shed fund. At the very minimum, I'm hoping that we can start to see some design or layout of what needs to be done over there. And it's a huge liability for the town. I know it's something that has to move forward at some point. The DEP, we certainly don't want any lawsuits over it. So I certainly will, I'm 100% against touching that. That's just my 2 cents. Thank you.
This is Steve Herbert, Board of Finance. I also agree. I think, though, the description and Rob Verges brought this up a couple of times. This is really to do an analysis of what needs to be done. This is not a leap forward into starting the work on the site. It's really more of a, what are the options in front of us? And therefore that would lead us to what's the most appropriate option. Is a new section required, or what are the other options that we might have in front of us? So it's not simply a, begin the work. It's a analyze our options and the possibilities out there, make sure it's really needed and what other choices we might have other than just simply starting construction or starting site work.
Anyone
Rob
else?
Wurge,
ahead,
Board of
Rob Wurge.
Finance. As it's stated, I can't support it, not for the reasons that Jim and Rob Mann pointed out. I actually do think we need to support the risk associated with it. As I commented before, I think we need to understand more clearly what that risk is. But as I heard Rich describe what we're wanting to do with this $50,000, I can't quite follow how it is how it is needed to solve the problem. I don't view the problem as the salt shed. If I understood and listened carefully, the problem is salt migration into the waterways, into the wells and into the river. And that salt is migrating because we're dumping it outside the sheds, and then we're moving it inside the sheds after it's dumped. And that which is not totally moved inside, it must rain and wash away off of the permeable surface and then get into the ground and into the groundwater. I could be wrong, but that's how I understood the problem. If that's the problem, just as Steve Herbert indicated, I think we need to understand what solutions solve that problem. A $700,000 salt shed that holds 3.5 times the capacity that we hold today. Again, the numbers I heard was that we have a 400 and a 200 ton shed, and we want to go to a 2,000 ton shed. So that's almost 3.5 times the capacity, plus room to drive trucks in and dump it. That would be wonderful. I'd love to have a shed that big and have all of our salt sitting there for the whole winter. But the reality is we have a lot of choices to make. And I'd be interested in putting some money aside to fully understand the risk of the problem and what are the options. So the options should come forward so that we can all understand what the expenses, what the cost of those different options are.
And
Rhonda Rooney.
I was just going to say, we haven't heard from Rhonda yet. Go ahead, Rhonda.
Rhonda Rooney, Board of Finance. I just wanted to say that I do agree that it's very important to get this issue taken care of. I agree with Rob in that, and with Steve, we need to look at the options on the table, all the options. And so I guess the question would be to Rich, what is the price tag that looking at all these options is? Is it 50,000? Is it 10,000? Is it 5,000? Where is it so that we can determine what it is that we need and have enough money for him to be able to do so. And then once those options are on the table, again, that's a new day. It could be next year. It could be 6 months from now. We'll take a look at them at that time. And if the project's going to move forward at that time, we'll take a look at how we're going to finance it at that time as well.
So I guess the question is, how much would it cost in order for us to determine the scope of the problem? Is that fair?
And to get the, yeah, and kind of get the estimates on, okay, we could do this, that, and the other, you know, it could go from anywhere from, you know, let's say 250 up to $10 million, depending on the what it takes to bring it to where it needs to be from an environmental standpoint and a supply standpoint. So, I mean, there could be an easier fix. There may not be. It might be the 750, you know, major salt shed. But if there hasn't been any investigation and there hasn't been any options that are really on the table other than that one, how do we really know that's the best option? And again, I know that we depend on Rich for that. And I think last year he just didn't have the time to take a look at that or the resources because of his, you know, the scope of his job was too demanding.
So then if I follow you, the question is, how much would it cost to fully understand the scope of the problem as well as come up with all possible avenues for solution?
Correct.
On a recommendation basis, to recommend all possible avenues for solution.
And if I could add, Aaron, Rob Wurge, Board of Finance, and with a complete plan. What I don't think we want to do is invest $50,000 in, and we don't know for sure what the next steps are. Is it one more phase plus X amount, or is it 5 more phases? just as Rhonda said, there could be, you know, when they do the testing on the wells, it could be higher than 750 if we've got cleanup. I don't know. It just feels like we're getting way out in front of trying to solve a problem that we're not quite sure what we're solving.
I'm looking in the chat box and I see that Rich Benoit is offering to speak on this matter. So if Amy, if you're able to unmute Rich, or Rich, if you're able to unmute yourself, by all means, please join.
We're here. Can everybody hear me?
Rich, I can hear you.
Okay.
I can hear you, Rich.
All right.
Thank you.
First off, I would like to start by saying that the initial request for the $50,000 came from the Board of Selectmen and not myself. That was based off of conversations that were had prior to the budget process, and Amy and the board felt that it was necessary to make some changes, and I do support them, but I don't support my name being on them because I didn't write them. So in regards to the salt shed, we don't have a lot of options as far as finding somebody to do a research program. Basically, we're going to be bound by whatever DEP says that we're going to have to do. I don't know what that is. My suggestion was to follow the plan that Woodstock did 10 years ago now, when they were in a very similar situation that they're still dealing with currently, with lawsuits and payments and supplying water and so on. Fortunately for them, they didn't have a public water supply that was going to be tainted in the process. So I went, after the last meeting that I was a part of when we talked about this, I went and spoke to our wetlands agent, Marla Butts, about what our options were to seek out some sort of guidance as to what we would have to do, what we should do in regards to the quarterly water testing that we do on site that is showing increased salt levels, and the fact that Connecticut Water has reached out to us and said that they would like to request copies of those tests because they know we have them. And they've also made it clear in the same letter that they were going to be taking tests from private wells at homes in the neighborhood to compare them to their results. So I said, we need to get ahead of this and do something. What can we do? And she said, aside from reaching out to DEP and throwing a huge red flag and saying, what do we have to do? The only other option was to try to get some engineering done, have some studies, some study done through an engineer and some more testing, and start the process of having a soil scientist come to the site to determine the types of soils, and to decide what we could build on site for a storage facility. But at the end of the day, it's basically going to be up to DEP what they will permit us to have on site, due to the fact that we are within a certain distance of a public water supply. So I don't have the answer, and I tried to move forward and say, okay, who can we speak to? And Marla's thoughts were that it was not a good idea to call DEP and say, what do we do? Because if we do that, we better be prepared to act immediately. So that was what I was told. So I'm basically just relaying the message.
Aaron McGarry, Board of Finance. Thanks, Rich. Any thoughts on, because you mentioned having an engineer come in and just do a study. I'm not an engineer. I don't work with them. I have no idea how much they charge for projects. Does anyone have any idea how much an engineer study would be for something of this scope?
I have no clue. As I said, the $50,000 request was put forward by the Board of Selectmen as something that they felt necessary to put the money there so we could get the project started. I mean, worst case scenario, we're looking for ways to save money. Is the $50,000 needed? I don't have the answer to that. Could we do it with 25 to get started put more into it next year? Or if we start this, are we just going to are we going to end up with our backs against the wall regardless? And, you know, DEP, we're going to be sitting here having a conversation that we don't want to have in regards to DEP has sent us, you know, a letter stating you need to do this. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But what I was told by our wetlands agent is we need to do something to at least show the initiative that we're starting the process. So one way or the other, whether it's $5,000 or $25,000, I think that it would be wise of us as a town to at least have that money put into an account for something that has to do with engineering or site planning for the salt facility to show that we're doing something.
Understood.
Rich?
Thank you. Go ahead, Rhonda.
Yeah, Ron, Board of Finance. One question, Rich. I think that, you know, obviously if this is a problem, which it sounds like it is, and it could be leaking into the water source, which it sounds like it is, and we could be potentially sued for something like this, which it sounds like we could. I would say, and I can't speak for the entire board or the Board of Selectmen or anybody else for that matter, but if we could determine if, you know, 25, 50, whatever is needed for you to get that study done, so that when you get it done, even if you got it done in 2 months, 4 months, 6 months, a year, when you have that data in front of you, even if you did have to notify DEEP, and now we have red flag under us, we need to do it anyway. So I think at that time we would figure out how to fund it. I hate to, you know, not do anything or not contact the right resources because of fear that, you know, maybe somebody's going to say no and we're not going to be able to do it, and then we're going to be in trouble anyway. I think we need to move forward with confidence that, you know, we're reaching out to them to make an effort to get this done. We're looking to get a study done so we can make the most efficient and best decision for our town based on what options are available to us from them, and kind of move forward. So I wanted to just try to figure out here, you know, because of the situation that's going on and we're trimming everything down. I mean, I know you don't know the exact figure, but if maybe, I don't know if Ken's on the line or somebody else that might know how much it could potentially cost to have that type of study. And then we just want to make sure you have that money in here. And then once all that's done, then you come back to us to figure out how we're going to fund the whole project if we have it all completed, once you have all that data.
Correct. I think just to back up real quick and an explanation so that everybody can kind of understand where I'm at. When I brought this up, you know, Ken Bosley was still first selectman. Ken was a great guy, but he's very frugal. That's the nicest way I can put it. I respect him for that. So I went to Woodstock and I talked to John Navarro, who does my job there. John's a great guy. I said, what happened? Tell me the story of what happened with your facility, because Woodstock was forced to build a complete new highway garage and a complete new salt storage facility, plus do a complete site plan for the entire property due to the fact that it was found during the process of investigating the salt issue that there was some other materials that had been buried on site over the years, which is something that happened years ago in backyards and businesses and highway garages or whatever. So they paid dearly for it, unfortunately. So he explained everything to me, and then he explained to me about the salt shed, because I said I was concerned about ours and about that, you know, we had rising levels of salt in the ground, and with the public water supply being so close. So I said, what was it, what made them pick what you ended up doing, what the building that you have? So he explained to me that the biggest thing that DEP was concerned about was any salt handling outside of the building, whether it was deliveries or in the wintertime loading trucks and sending them out on the road, and having everything be self-contained is what they were pushing for. So I said, okay, so we started talking about costs and what was required as far as the bladder that is underneath the building, so it contains everything and there's no drainage that leaves the building. And I felt that that was a great, you know, a great plan for us to look into because it covered all the bases. Ken thought that we could save some money on it and, you know, build a different type of salt storage facility that is not, it doesn't cover the same features as far as being contained or having a bladder or any of that stuff. And it was, instead of being a solid structure, it was a tent structure. And I had voiced my concerns that working for DOT, when I was there, we had multiple facilities, salt storage facilities that were built out of that type of process that had collapsed, and that they hurried up and Chinese fire drilled salt all around the state to get it under cover of existing structures so it wouldn't get left out in the rain. So we don't have that option. If we were to build something like that, not that it would work under these circumstances, but even if the circumstance were different and we could save the money and do that, we don't have the option of what happens if it were to collapse. We don't have any other place to put it. So this is kind of all spiraled, kind of out of control as far as my involvement with the budget process and the salt shed. This is the one thing I don't have the answers for. I have, there was a lot of questions from the last meeting, which I watched today, about, road work and past monies and so on. I have all those answers. This is something that I don't know much about. And I like I said, I did reach out to our wetlands agent for some assistance. And basically what I got was, don't call DEP because we're going to be in trouble. And you need to figure out a way to do something to make it look like we're moving forward. So that's basically the only support that I have so far on this.
Okay, Richard, Rhonda Rooney, thank you so much, and we appreciate all your efforts and all your work, and you're doing a great job. It looks like on the chat that Orla said she'll contact the financial director at Woodstock tomorrow to figure out what number is a good number for over here. So I think we're just gonna wait. That would be my personal opinion before we move any numbers around on that until she gets that number, and then we can fill it in there. And
Right.
then you guys can figure out as a group how to manage the project from there.
Mhm.
Okay, thank
Yes.
you.
Rhonda, could you clarify, Rob Ward, Board of Finance, could you clarify what is Orla getting from Woodstock?
She's gonna get what I would recommend, and what I think she is getting is how much did it cost them to do the assessment or the study and get the options that were available so that we can get it to the point where they may decide on doing a project. Orla, can you speak to that?
Yes. Okay. Yes, I can. I'm just sending an email to the finance director in Woodstock. So they obviously incurred the cost. So I'm sure they have a lot of information and background with regards to how much it cost, et cetera, et cetera. So I've just reached out to her tonight, and I sure hear back from her in the morning. So I'll send you that information as soon as I get it.
Rob Mann, Board of Finance.
Go ahead, Rob Mann.
So when you guys talk about study, do you mean a study on what type of structure we should build, or do you mean a study on seeing what is necessary? Because I think, since 2008, I think they've already proven what the DEP considers we have to do. And so I don't want to see a study on just that something has to be done or something doesn't have to be done. I want to, if it's going to be a study, I'd like it to be, I'd rather see the money go into design or moving forward and getting the whole issue resolved. That's all.
So Orla, is that something you could get, the amount of money that it took them to get to that point?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Great.
Rob Ward, Board of Finance. Orla, could you also ask, kindly, please ask them for the scope of work so we understand what they asked the engineering firm to do. That would be the scope of the work.
Will do. I was going to ask them for any of the documentation that they have available. So I'll send you guys whatever I get.
Thank you, Orla. We're still in transfers. I think, well, I won't speak. Is there anyone who wants to discuss anything else in transfers?
Aaron, I'd like to
If
have
not,
the opportunity to answer a couple questions that were posed in the last meeting that I wasn't able to attend.
go ahead, Rich.
So I watched the the Zoom meeting this afternoon, just so I was aware of what was going on after last week's meeting. And there were some questions raised about roadwork funding. I believe it was Rhonda that was asking questions about past years' roadwork funding. So last year, to FY 2020, we funded that account $270,000. The initial request for last fiscal, or this current fiscal year 2020, was $425,000. The year before that, 2019, if you look up roadwork, it shows $256,000. But what was not included in that was another $175,000 that you're seeing above the page that we're on now, chip sealing, $175,000. So that was because of processes that were used before my time here with the cold in place recycling program with chip sealing over it that the former director of public works was sold on. And I fought this battle last year stating that we were not doing that anymore, that, you know, the money that we were investing into roads that were legit coming apart after 2 to 3 years. If there's anybody here that travels down Porter Plain Road on a regular basis, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about. It was a waste. So we are not currently doing chip sealing as a road treatment. It is more of a pavement preservation technique as opposed to what it was being used for. So I combined those accounts so that $256,000 for road resurfacing plus the $175,000 for chip sealing was what gave me the numbers that I was looking for. If you combine those two numbers, that gives you a combined total of $431,000 for 1 year, which was, I had carried those numbers from the year prior to my starting here. And that was what I kind of wanted to keep as an average going forward so I could try to remedy the issues from the past and move us into the future. So that being said, last year I requested $425,000. I actually decreased the amount to a rounded number of 425. We ended up we ended up getting an extra person added to the highway department. And then there was some other reductions that were made in order to get the budget to pass last year, which left us with $270,000. So we took a significant decrease, and if we were to this year, if we were to put forward with that type of a decrease, that's going to significantly set us back in the town as far as getting road work done, way behind where we have been. I wanted to bring that forth so everybody understood where those numbers came from, because that's a big difference in cost.
Thank you, Rich.
Thank you.
Anything else, Rich, that you want to touch upon?
No, I don't think so. I did want to mention that I know that there was the cut made last week as far as the $50,000 for the bridge funding, and I'm not going to fight against that. I just want everybody to understand what that is for, and that I will be coming back for it in future years, but I will find a way to make do at the moment. What that funding is for is to hire an engineering firm to do a bridge load rating evaluation on all of our less than 20-foot structures that are in town. The state does have information on most of our over 20-foot bridge structures as far as weight load ratings, but none of our bridges in town are marked for what they are rated to carry. And basically what happens is if a bridge is not legally marked for what it is load rated for, then it is perfectly fine for any registered vehicle that is on the road to travel over those bridges. So we do know already that we have some stuff in town that needs a little bit of work, and there's some stuff that's kind of up in the air as far as bridges go. the last thing that I really want to see is a large overweight truck going over certain bridges. In the past, the Blaine Road Bridge has been a large subject matter because of the quarry on Reardon Road. When that quarry went in, the quarry put a sign outside the gate that said trucks no right turns, which means no coming out over the Blaine Road Bridge. Unfortunately, we can't legally tell somebody they can't drive over it because we don't have a weight posted. The weight rating of the bridge has to be posted in order to restrict truck traffic. So that was what that funding was for. There's a few bridges in town that are in question at the moment that I really want to get load ratings on so I can post the signage for them and try to keep trucks off of those bridges. That I will just use normal road work funding and do what I have to do to get the information done for those particular bridges for now. But going forward in the future, we need to move forward and get all of them done.
Thank you, Rich. Anything else?
That's it for me, unless anybody's got a question.
I believe at the last meeting, there was a member of the Board of Finance who was wondering if the existing roll-off truck, if there's any possibility that could be patched to operate for another year before we buy a new one. I believe that was a question by someone. Any thoughts on that, Rich?
That's basically going to be up to the boards. I will say, in defense of my thoughts of replacing the truck, there's a few things behind it. One of them being cost of repairs. In the last 3 months, I believe we've put around $12,000 to $14,000 worth of repairs into that unit. And with a guaranteed trade-in amount of $25,000 to $28,000, that's right around half of what the truck is worth is what we've put into it in most recently for repairs. Aside from general maintenance items like tires and so on, this was actual breakdowns. And the other thing that I wanted to point out is that one unit is the only unit that we have to move the trash out of our transfer station. So if that truck goes down, we try to get it into a shop on a Friday afternoon, and hopefully they can work on it over the weekend, maybe Monday, Tuesday, have it back to us Wednesday. We use that unit 2 to 3 days a week, usually Wednesday and Friday, and we'll add in Thursday if we're having a busy time. So but I have looked into outsourcing some of the hauling or having a backup plan. The one backup plan we do have is the emergency management truck that is owned by Thompson, Killingley, and Woodstock. It is capable of hauling our containers. It's not actually made to haul 50-yard containers, but it will do it. It does come to be a safety issue because we shouldn't be, but it will do it, and it has saved us already twice. When our truck was down, we were still able to get our trash out. If something were to happen while one of our 50-yard containers was on there that's not supposed to be, well, there's some liability to that, especially since our drivers know that they shouldn't be doing it, but we make it work. If our truck goes down, we can't outsource it. There's nobody that's willing to come in for a fee and haul our trash. Willimantic Waste has offered to do it full time, obviously at their schedule and their cost, and all of our waste would have to go through their sort facility at their pricing. The reason why we go where we go is because we were able to lock into contracts which are saving us a lot of money over what we would have been paying if it had to go to a full-time sort facility. So my thoughts were this year was to look into replacing that truck so we had the peace of mind of not having to worry about it. If we need to get through another year, it might cost us a little bit more in repairs. It might cost us a lot more on repairs. It's a, flip the quarter type of thing, but we'll do what we have to do to get by.
Rob Mann, Board of Finance.
Thank you, Rich. Go ahead, Rob Mann.
Rich, what do you think if we were going to put money aside to keep that truck going for the full year? Is there any idea of what we should have put aside if we don't buy a new truck this year, in a fund balance or somewhere as a what if.
You know what? I'd rather not do it that way. I mean, we have our existing accounts in the road, not road work, sorry, truck repair and so on. You know, there's a reasonable amount of money in those accounts every year, and that's based off of a usual average of what we have for breakdowns. And that will vary from year to year. They're currently, you know, going into the new year, you know, there's enough money in there to cover a couple of significant repairs on our trucks. Last year we had an engine overhaul that had to get done on one of our 9 tons because of the EGR system let go and it hydrolocked. Something way beyond our control. It happens. Unfortunately, it's a popular thing with those trucks. So, I mean, I don't want to change those numbers. I don't want to change the equipment repair or the truck repair numbers. I would rather, if we're going to hang on to the truck, we'll do what we have to do to keep it on the road. If we, for some reason, something happens where we're going to need more funding, I'd rather talk about it then.
Wonderful. I commend you for your honesty, Rich. Even as you were talking about the roll-off trucks and talking about and breaking down and having a backup plan, in the back of my head, I was saying to myself, oh, what about outsourcing? And I didn't even have to ask the question. You went right into it. I just really appreciate that. I wasn't asking that question because I wanted to remove the roll-off truck at all. I was just trying to have some options. That's all. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Aaron, can I speak?
Go ahead, Rhonda.
So Rich, I just wanted to say, and probably everybody knows, and with the past voters over the last 5 years, the town budget side of the budget has been supported strongly. So I'm an advocate of keeping things going as well. But I'm just going to throw out there, because this is a really tough year with everything that's going on. You know, we may have to look at this, and you might have to get through another year and then come back to us mid-year for that. Not that I would want to do that, nor do I want to make any cuts to this budget. But I think that just because of the situation at hand with the pandemic, I think that we might want to consider that. I'm just going to put that out there. Recently, just for everybody's knowledge, I did see also that the state was putting out their budget, where they have a huge deficit. They're going to try to balance their budget and the deficit for 2020 with fund balance. And they also predict that the following year as well, they're going to have a lot of the shortfalls in tax collections throughout the year. So I'm sure that we're going to get hit from that end, from a revenue source as well. So I just wanted to put that, you know, these are why my decisions are being based on. So I just wanted to put that out there. So for those on the Board of Finance, I'm good with removing this and having him come back mid-year if need be.
Okay.
Rob
Any other
Ward,
thoughts
Board of
on this?
Finance.
Go ahead, Rob Ward.
I would support Rhonda's thoughts about removing it, even more so knowing that we just put 12 or 14,000 into the truck. I understand it's old, Rich, and I know this, you know, this is the decision we all want. But if we put some repairs into the truck, I know we take a risk of things happening, the unknown. That's why they're called breakdowns. But it seems to me that if we could stretch another year, and hopefully the repairs we just made will be good to us. If we could take the $43,000 out, it would help us preserve funding to do other things.
Anyone else on this line item?
I would still like to keep on the table the possibility of buying it outright out of funds that I already have on hand.
Thank you. Now, this was just moving through these things in quick discussion as we go through Rob Ward's budget tool. So any other discussion on this transfer item or other transfer items before we move on to the next item in his budget tool?
Aaron, it's Rob. I can't help but have to comment on one item that Rich talked about.
Go ahead.
It's not related to the actual dollars here, but Rich, if you're using a different truck that is not rated for for the containers that we have. And it's a safety issue. We should probably look long and hard at that, because that could be a compliance issue, and I don't think we want to. I understand we want to get the job done, but not at the cost of putting people at risk. And by the way you described it, it sounded like it was a compliance issue. And it sounds like something we probably shouldn't be doing. And if that's the case, I would advocate that we stop doing it. And if it costs us more to have Willimantic Waste come in, or if we have to shut the dump down for a day or 2 days, people aren't going to like it, but it's better than somebody getting hurt. So when you say safety, my antennas go up, and I get very, very concerned.
Oh, no, I don't disagree. I'm a very big safety-oriented person. When I came into this position, there was many things around the highway department that was not safe that we have rectified since coming into this position over 2 years ago. As far as the truck goes, with Willimantic Waste, it's not a possibility of just having them come in and covering us for a couple of days. They want our entire contract or nothing. It was something that I looked into because I was concerned about having a backup, which is why I had the answer to that, for Rob. He was appreciative of that. So with that being said, closing the transfer station for a couple of days if the truck is down is fine. Unfortunately, everybody in this town loves their transfer station, and I'm with them because I live here and I use it too. The unfortunate thing is if I close the gate to the transfer station because it snows and my guys are plowing the snow, people lose their mind. If the power, one day the power went out and we can't compact the trash and we can't store it on the ground, it has to go in the containers. People lost their mind, even though it was only for a couple of hours. If I close the place down for 2 or 3 days because our truck is in the shop and I can't move the trash, I might as well move out of town.
Rich, that's not my issue. My issue is that we're using a truck sometimes that's owned by 3 towns, that's not rated. And my point was just that if it's not rated and it's a safety issue, those were your words. If it's a safety issue, I get people are going to go out of their mind. If someone gets hurt, people are going to go out of their mind even more. So we can't put people in harm's way. I'm glad that you're safety conscious as well, but I'm just repeating back what I heard. And if what I heard is we're using a truck that's not rated to do the job, let's stop doing that. That's all. That was my only comment, Rich. I understand all the other pieces. I know it's not easy to just shut it down, and I know that people rely on it. I personally went there the other day when it was down because of snowing, and I had my stuff in the back of my truck and I had to go back again later. So I get the inconvenience, but safety trumps all.
No, I agree. I absolutely agree, and I just hope that if it comes down to that, I hope that there's more people besides yourself that are backing me.
So
better than
we
somebody getting hurt. Sorry, Aaron, got off on a tangent
no worries.
there, but I don't want to see people getting hurt. And I don't think we should be operating out of compliance.
So question, Rich, currently, are we putting ourselves at risk and we are operating out of compliance and there's no way that this can be rectified in the current situation unless we get the roll-off truck? Is that correct?
No, we're not operating out of compliance. That it was 2 instances over the course of the last 2.5 years that happened, and that was 2 days over the last 2.5 years that we ran the truck. And we have both of our MSW compactors and our bulky waste bins and our glass. Those are all large containers. The truck that we are shared owner in between the towns, it's capable of handling the load and the weight to haul the containers. The issue is that it's not a standard roll-off truck. Without going into a lot of details, it has a crane mounted on it, and there's a bunch of other figures that go into play. It will do the job. It might not be 100%. I'm not going to say that it's illegal to use it. It's probably within the parameters of that unit. I just don't think that we should be. My drivers are telling me that they don't feel comfortable. It's not the same. They don't feel as though it's right. And I'm going with their word on it. And I agree with Rob Wirch that, you know, if it's something that's not safe, we shouldn't be doing it. And basically it comes down to the fact of, you know, if we bought that truck, or we're part owner in that truck for a couple of reasons. One of them was would be a backup for our unit if it ever went down. And the other reason is for the emergency management factor, for the fact that it has a grapple crane on it for removing debris and trees and so on. That was what the unit was purchased for. It just kind of fell in the same realm of, it's a roll-off truck, it picks up containers, and we're in that business as well.
So you don't really need to use that truck unless the current roll-off truck breaks down and you can't get it fixed in time. Is that correct? So it's a real bind.
Correct.
If you were, okay, thank you.
Yes.
Rob Mann, Board of Finance.
Go ahead, Rob Mann.
As I said, I don't really want to see this removed, but I know we have to do some trimming. I'm not going to make a motion right now, but Rich, if we do make a motion at any point to remove that $43,478, I'd like to just ask that the line item be left, and which would give Rich the option. So if he did, was able to trim other parts of his budget and make it work, so he could purchase one, it could still happen. That's all.
Any other comments as we go through this budget tool examination exercise on this item or other items in transfers before we move on?
Aaron, Rob Wirch again. Aaron,
ahead,
Rob
Rob
Wirch, we talked on road resurfacing about an alternate plan that would cost us $70,000 with a 90% reimbursement from the state to do Aquatic Town Farm Road. Where do we land on that? We still have the 400 in there. If we could do that for a $700,000 project for the town, that would be, I think, a wonderful thing to get 90% of it paid and be able to reduce that line item significantly.
Unfortunately, that doesn't have anything to do with that line item. The money.
So it's not road resurfacing?
Yes, it is.
Project?
It's not for that project. The road resurfacing money is the money that we put into, the town puts in every year to put towards fixing the roads. Not specific roads, it's the roads that need it. Obviously, yes, that is a road that definitely needs it. But saying the information that was provided saying that I'm looking at getting a grant to do a specific road, that's great if we can get a grant to do that road. I don't have the number in front of me right now of how long that road is, but we'll say from the start to finish, that road is 2.5 miles long. It's probably a little more than that, but that's 2.5 miles of road out of 96 miles of paved road we have in town. Last year, I was able to resurface 6.83 or 6.85 miles of road out of that 96. And I don't think I'm the only person on here that would have to agree that there's a lot more that need to be done. So traditionally over the years, prior to me starting here, the town was investing out of town funds over $400,000 a year into road work. So now if you're saying you would like to reduce that because we may be fortunate enough to get a grant that will pay 90% of the cost to do one road, that doesn't help us in any way, shape, or form. That reduces our movement of going forward and actually fixing the roads in this town.
So, Rob, so Amy spoke to that last week. Rich wasn't on the phone, and she had thought that he was using that 400,000 for that particular road. So that's why I brought that up. So it doesn't look as though he has, that money isn't earmarked for that road. So that would be something in addition to this that he could do.
Right.
So I just wanted to kind of clarify. That's why I didn't bring it up again, because I think that it was just a misunderstanding between what Amy had thought he was using the 400,000 for versus what he was actually using it for. And looking
Rhonda,
back at, yes.
I'm sorry, Rhonda, I just have to clarify that I just mentioned that a grant was being considered. I didn't think it was coming from his roads budget necessarily. that it was just something he was looking into. And if I came across the wrong way, I do apologize.
No problem, Amy. And then looking back, like Rich said, they were getting that full amount of money in FY 19, the 400,000. So I think the idea for this, and I could be wrong, Rich, is to keep saving the 400, 400, 400 to get to the 1.5 million again, so he can come in and do a large work, not really large, but it seems like a large amount of road, like he just did last year. So,
Right.
okay.
Basically, my plan is to, from the town's point of view, is to level fund our road work funding every year in between what we get and what the state gives us for money from the different things that they put in, and which is always up in the air whether or not we're going to get it. But we can continue on the path. So if the road work funding is always going to be a target money for other things as far as balancing the budget, then there's really no sense in me doing this job. I should just hand it off to somebody that's just going to come to work and make sure the grass gets mowed. I want to fix the roads, and I want to fix all the legal issues that we have in town with out-of-date guardrails and bridges that need work. And, you know, there's millions of things that go on behind the scenes that I have to deal with on a day-to-day basis that nobody ever hears about. So there's a lot of legalities to my job, and there's a lot of legalities to us as a town owning a road system. Just like we pointed out earlier with the school, we've never moved forward as a town. And at this point in time, I think we need to focus more on bringing ourselves out of the past and getting ourselves level and fixing the infrastructure that we have. Not just the highway department, but the town itself and the school and so on, and bring ourselves up to being whole before we start moving into the future, because I don't think we're there yet. And unfortunately, most people don't see it. And it's hard to explain everything that goes on because we would be here for days.
Rich, I think we agree with you on that. And, you know, with Kathleen, we do need to bring everything and make it whole and be growing and so on and so forth. And at this point with this year, we do not have an opportunity to vote. So that's a big thing, along with, again, the pandemic. So I think that, you know, if it were up to me, I'd like to move forward with making things better too, but we're just not in that area this year to say, yes, let's do everything and let's get it all out there. It's just not going to happen.
No, I understand that.
Okay.
It's just, you know, like I don't know where we're going to end up as far as the Board of Finance and my department and other departments and cuts that are going to be made. I would like to point out that my overall operating costs, if they have not reduced, they've remained flat with the exception of things like fuel that are beyond my control and so on. So I'm trying to do the best I can to save face. I understand as a town, we're in a very bad situation because of the world and what's going on in it. And I'll support that however I can. But I want to also do what's best for the town in my position to try to not cost us more money going forward as far as legalities and lawsuits for things that we just didn't do.
Thank you, Rich. I appreciate that. Sounds like we've allocated a lot of time to discussing these items, these transfer items. Does anyone want to discuss anything that we haven't already discussed in the transfer section?
This is Jim Belvance, Board of Finance.
Go ahead, Jim.
Seeing that the Little League was canceled this year, can't we move that line item, blank that one out for this year, and they can do their repairs next year?
And that's a possibility.
I mean, they're not, nothing's going on there. There's no reason why we need to put that money out there now.
This is
And I agree with you.
Board of Finance.
Go ahead, Steve.
I think that was brought up as one of the recommendations from the department that we drop that particular line. I don't think that they actually, the Little League actually made a proposal to the Board of Selectmen, if I recall that meeting correctly. So it really was just a carry forward from a prior year request. So I agree with you. This is probably something we can drop this year without much trouble.
Steve was
Aaron,
correct that it was on the
Orla, can I-
recommendation list. It was on the recommendation list that was provided to us on things that we could potentially drop. Go ahead, Orla.
Yeah, just so you know, Jim, it's not completely canceled yet. We're going on the directive of the Little League, the National Little League, and we're watching it week by week. So it's not completely canceled.
Anything
at
else?
this stage.
Thanks, Orla. Anything else in transfers before we move on? Great. So let's go back to Rob Wurge's budget tool. We were in transfers. The next thing down is fringe benefits, which, if my memory serves, that's pretty much fixed.
Aaron, can I speak? This is Orla.
Go ahead, Orla.
So what I did was, since our last meeting, so what we had last week was possible suggestions on reductions. I took all of the suggestions that we had gone through, plus the ones that we hadn't reviewed as such, and added them all up, and we're looking to propose a reduction of $261,000. You can see it there on the screen. So I will go back up to where we were. I have resorted this based on the dollar amounts available, but with that said, I have moved the dollar amounts into, on the expenses side of things, I've moved the dollar amounts into Board of Finance so we can start calculating what sort of budget we're going to have. This is more, it doesn't necessarily mean that all these changes have been approved by all the necessary boards, but in an effort to try and start moving forward with my columns here, I have moved the dollars from Selectmen proposed into Board of Finance proposed, and I have reflected the proposed suggested reductions in the Board of Finance line. So for example, let me just go to one of the ones that we were suggesting there, which is transfers. And I'll go back to it in a sec. I just want to show you guys what I mean. If you look here, under Selectmen proposed, it was $922,000. After the $50,000 suggestion last week on the budget, on the bridge, and the dollars that were proposed by the roof, library roof, and also the Little League dollars that we just spoke about, I put in the total proposed from the Board of Finance currently as 844. Just to be clear, it has not been formally proposed by the Board of Finance, nor has it been formally proposed by the Board of Selectmen. I'm just trying to get the wheels turning on my document. Okay, so I just want to bring that to your attention. And now I'll go back to where we were talking about.
Orla, thank you so much.
No problem. So what we had done was Rob and I had worked through two different scenarios here. One was the changes based on individual line items within the budget. And we had sorted it based on highest to lowest. So this is our individuals here, the sheet that I'm showing you. The one that we were working on last week related to the actual totals for each of the individual departments. Now, as I mentioned to you, I've moved the dollars into Board of Finance proposed. So this now proposed line of the fiscal 20 budget versus what's proposed for fiscal 21, that has changed now with the proposed reductions. Let me swing back to that page. Last week I was calling it, last week I was calling it possibles. This week I'm calling it reductions. Again, it's now based on the Board of Finance column, not based on the Board of Selectmen column. And the totals in that column are reduced now by 261,000 if you were to follow the suggestions of the department heads in the town hall. Now, I think you said to me we were at animal control, is that correct?
I know we had completed animal control because we made a reduction to the animal control department budget.
Okay, okay. So I have not made that change. Let me just look at my notes.
Rob Wurge, Board of Finance. Orla, I could help you. We voted on that, and we voted to keep it at 24,292. So the reduction would be 10,780.
Okay, thank you, Rob. So, so the increase of 1078,780 is not reflected. Is a suggestion to adjust. So as you see, I've adjusted that there. So. Okay, so then we can move on to the next line item. The next line item was assessor. We are seeing an increase of 10,000, but with all of the changes that are going on in the assessor's department, my suggestion is to leave those dollar amounts as is. We have our assessor's clerk is retiring this week, and we do have a new person in that position, but we have a part-time assessor, and it's unclear as to what the direction will be from there on. I know the Board of Selectmen have worked quite a bit over the last 6 to 8 months in trying to replace that position. So we still have some vacancies, but I know that $10,000 was added by the Board of Selectmen in order to have that transition period of having somebody like the current assessor in there on a part-time basis. Would you agree with that, Amy?
Yes. I mean, we've already discussed that this additional funding is necessary. We're hoping, I've got feelers out to try to get someone qualified with experience to possibly take over that department. And we really need the extra ability to pay someone with experience to come in and take over the assessor's position eventually.
Thank you, Amy. So that's it on the assessor line. Does anyone have any questions on the assessor line? Okay, so the next line is the public health, and that's it's a per capita rate. It is determined by the NDDH Board of Health, and as it stands at the moment, they're looking for an increase, and it represents $5,301. Now that's a combination of the increase per capita plus the change in population.
So, Earl, I just want to make sure, Aaron McGarrett, Board of Finance, are we looking at the page that Rob Woods came up with that sorts things from highest to lowest, or are we looking at the department head's recommended reductions page?
So we're looking at, it is the same thing. So this is the document that Rob came up with regards to highest to lowest increases. And as we see, the highest increase at the moment is, if we were to go with the suggestions, is 436. What I'm doing is going through each of those line items, each of the specific line items with regards to the current increases if we were to go with the suggestions.
Okay, yeah, so this looks like the suggested cuts page because I've got each of them, I print them out on just regular 8.5 by 11 paper. So this looks like it comes, this is the department heads recommended cuts, but as it's, I guess, sorted by which is the biggest to smallest?
Correct.
I just want to make sure I'm looking at the correct page here, that's all.
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Are you good? So the next.
So it's just that I've noticed, I took a look at the budget, okay, and I noticed that just about every single department has recommendations that came through, and thank you so much, Orla, to you and Amy for doing this work, but I just, for selectmen, data processing, treasurer, let's see, Board of Assessment Appeals, I'm just flipping through my paper printout, town clerk, I'm seeing recommendations through this thing. So I was gonna go ahead and just move right through this thing and just start cutting, if everybody's okay with that.
Aaron, can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
Could we just, and I mean, if any board members don't agree, just let me know, but I think that, I mean, if I could make a motion even to accept all the department heads' proposed reductions from last week and just incorporate those in and then start going through the other page again. So if we wanted to, cut these in even further, we could, but if we didn't, they're already as low as the particular departments, could manage, if you will. So instead of going through every single one in an effort to save time, unless board members think we're going to increase these or not take the reductions at this point, I just think that it would save a lot of time and it would bring us that much further along in the process. Just a thought.
There's also the possibility that when we take a look at that page, we may go further than what's recommended.
Okay.
On any given page. And
Yep.
I promise I won't take long per page.
Okay. All right.
Can we start at the top?
I'm
Can we
ready.
go to,
I'm
can we
ready.
go to section, we go to page 15 in the budget. So that's section 1201. Start from the top. Great. And just to make sure that I do ask Dick Trudeau's question, at some point, Orla, could you give some thought to if the state will come through with the dollars that they are supposed to provide? I know that's a broad question, but that's something that maybe we can take a look at before we adjourn. So first, Selectman, I noticed in the recommended document that was issued, it said recommend we reduce by $5,185. That was what I saw in the recommended list. And if that's the case, I'll start the bidding by making a motion that we reduce this section of the budget by $5,185. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll make a second.
Great.
Rhonda Rooney.
So I've got the motion and Rhonda Rooney has the second. Looks like,
Aaron?
so how come mine says 5185, but yours says 4245?
So when I went into each of the departments, I checked to see the actual dollars. I made a correction with regards to the staff member increase. So therefore, what we are proposing is a different dollar amount. It's a 4245 instead of the 51 and change.
All right, so I will modify my motion so that it's 4245. Rhonda, do you still choose to second that?
Yes.
Great. Any discussion on this motion?
A quick question. This is Steve, Board of Finance. Quick question. So this is eliminating all pay increases in this department?
That is eliminating all pay increases in every department.
Well, but this amount's only for this department, right?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on this motion?
I'd like to just put out there again, thank you to everybody that has offered to make these reductions, especially in the form of pay increases. We don't take that lightly. So just wanted to say thank you as we move down.
And this is Steve for a second, and I would just second what you're saying, Rhonda. It really is quite a sacrifice, quite frankly. So appreciation, it really is appreciated, I guess I should say.
Aaron McGarry, likewise, greatly appreciated. I was reviewing these numbers again a few hours ago, preparing for this meeting, and I just couldn't believe the gesture from the first selectman and the finance director and just the department heads who were willing to say, okay, we get it. This is a tough year. Let us help you lead the way. We hear you. Let's help you make this happen. I'm just blown away by what tremendous people we have working for this town. It's just amazing.
That's good.
Any other discussion on this motion?
Rob Mann, Board of Finance, I agree 100% with both of you. I think it's amazing that they can actually make cuts in their own departments and even in their own pay. It's truly amazing in these hard times. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
So there's a motion and a second to reduce the first selectman budget by $4,245. Any more discussion? All right, so we'll go around the table. Rob Mann, how do you vote?
Yes.
Rhonda, how do you vote?
Yes.
Rob Woods, how do you vote?
Yes.
Steve Herbert, how do you vote?
Yes.
Jim Bellavance, how do you vote?
Yes.
I'll vote yes. This one carries 6-0. So we'll now move on to data processing. My printout said $200, which I know that's a paltry amount, but it just comes next in the book, and there it is. So I'll make a motion that we reduce data processing by $200. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
That's Rhonda who's got the second. Any discussion on this motion? Hearing none.
Aaron.
Jim Belt. Go ahead, Rob. Williams.
Aaron, just a comment that's in a department that was already showing a significant reduction year over year. So
Yep.
it shows that we're finding decreases and cuts not only in departments that were going up year over year, but this one went down, and they're looking to go down even further. So I just wanted to recognize that as well.
Thank you. Any other discussion on this item? All right, Jim Bellavance, how do you vote?
Yes.
Rob Mann,
Yes.
Rhonda Rooney,
Yes.
Rob Orge,
Yes.
Steve Herbert.
Yes.
I'll vote yes. This one carries 6-0. That brings us on to treasurer/finance. In my book, the printout that I have, it says 4869. I don't know if that's still accurate or not.
Bear with me 1 second.
Thank you, Orla. Thank you.
I resorted it, so now it's harder to find. There we
Oh,
go.
yep.
4654.
All right, I'm going to make a motion that we reduce treasurer/finance by $4,654.
I'll second it.
Rhonda's got the second. Any discussion on this? Okay, hearing none. Jim Bellavance, how do you vote?
Yes.
Rob Mann, how do you vote?
Yes.
Rhonda Rooney, how do you vote?
Yes.
Rob Orge, how do you vote?
Yes.
Steve Herbert, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. This one carries 6-0. The next one that I noticed was in the recommended list was Board of Assessment Appeals, $681. I know a small amount of money, but there it was. I'll make a motion that we reduce this by $681. Is there a second?
Rob Mann, Board of Finance, I second it.
So Rob's got the second. Any discussion on this? Hearing none. Jim Bellavance, how do you vote?
Yes.
Rob Mann, how do you vote?
Yes.
Rhonda Rooney, how do you vote?
Yes.
Rob Orge, how do you vote?
Yes.
Steve Herbert, how do you vote?
Yes.
I'll vote yes. This one carries 6-0. Next one that I noticed was town clerk. Recommended that we reduce it by $2,500 if that's still accurate. Yep, I'll make a motion to reduce town clerk by $2,500. Is there a second?
Second.
I second.
Sounded
Yeah.
like Jim Bellavance had that second. Any discussion on this? Discussion? Hearing none. Jim Bellavance, how do you vote?
Yes.
Rob Mann, how do you vote?
Yes.
Rhonda Rooney, how do you vote?
Yes.
Rob Orge, how do you vote?
Yes.
Steve Herbert, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. This one carries 6-0. Next one that I noticed is Town Hall Municipal Building. And it said to reduce it by $10,500. I don't know if that's still accurate.
No, I looked at,
Looks like
there's some additional reductions that that were recommended. So we're actually up to a reduction of 13,146.
Great, I'll make that correction in my booklet, 13,146. So I'm going to make a motion that we reduce the Town Hall Building section of the budget by $13,146. Is there a second?
Second.
It sounded like Jim Bellavance had the second on that one. Any discussion on this motion? Hearing none. Jim Bellavance, how do you vote?
Yes.
Rob Mann, how do you vote?
Yes.
Rhonda Rooney, how do you vote?
Yes.
Rob Orge, how do you vote?
Yes.
Steve Herbert, how do you vote?
Yes.
I'll vote yes. This one carries 6-0. The fire marshal, I noticed that they didn't want to take a reduction. I'm going to go ahead and suggest that we take $1,000 out of fire marshal and $1,000 out of deputy fire marshal. That would still give each of them an increase of $1,000. And in these times, I think that's more than fair. So I'm going to go ahead and make that motion that we take $1,000 out of 510027 and $1,000 out of 510024. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Great. Discussion on that?
Yes, I do have this is Steve, Board of Finance.
Go ahead,
Although I
Steve.
know we're talking about the cost side of it, and I don't want to get us off track here, but I think there may be opportunities on the income side to change the charges that the fire marshal assesses when he does various jobs in commercial properties. We'll
Fantastic.
get to that
Glad
later.
to hear it.
about the income side.
Let's definitely take a look at that. Absolutely. Thank you, Steve. Wonderful. Any other discussion on this?
I just want
Eric.
to, Rob Mann, Board of
Sounded
Finance.
like Rob
Sorry,
Mann
Bob.
had. Go ahead, Rob Mann.
I just want to, I know there was some discussion that the fire marshal was trying to catch up on a lot of things that hadn't been done in the past. So I just want to take caution when we make this adjustment, that there might be some things that haven't been done that in many years that he's still trying to catch up on with extra hours and such. That's all.
and I appreciate him doing that. Any other discussion on this motion?
I just wanted to add if Orla could take a note of what Steve had mentioned with the revenue so that we don't forget and we can address that maybe next week or whenever we meet again.
Or
Aaron, Rob Ward,
Go ahead, Rob
can you give us the page, can you give us the page number in our booklet that this one's on?
Yep, I'm on page 38 in the booklet.
Thank you.
Welcome. Any other discussion on this? All right, we'll take a vote. Jim Vance, how do you vote?
Yes.
Rob Mann, how do you vote?
Yes.
Rhonda Rooney, how do you vote?
Yes.
Rob Ward, how do you vote?
Yes.
Steve Herbert, how do you vote?
Yes.
Great. The next one is fire departments. And I know the fire departments are each
Aaron, how did you
collectively
vote?
asking. Go ahead, sir, Steve.
Aaron, I just didn't know if you voted or not on that issue.
Oh, sorry. I vote yes. Sorry. Thank you for pointing that out, Steve. I vote yes. This one carries 6-0. My apologies. Thank you, Steve. So the next page is fire departments, and I know that the companies have individually and collectively asked for I guess I would describe it as a substantial increase. Last year to this year, they were at 48 and they got 55, so they each went up by 7. So I would like to propose that we give each of them 7 more. So that actually would be 62. And I'm going to put that in the form of a motion. I'm going to make a motion that each of the fire companies gets $7,000 more than last year for a total of, what is that, 62 each? So I'll make that in the form of a motion. Does somebody want to second that?
I'll second it.
Juan has got the second. Discussion on this motion?
Aaron, for clarity, is that,
62,000.
Go ahead, Rob Wage.
I mean,
That would be for $62,000 each. For each company, we get $62,000.
Aaron,
wait a minute.
this is Orla. Can I ask a question?
Go ahead, Orla.
Just confirming, is it 62 for ambulance and 62 for fire? Is that correct?
No, it would be, we'll leave ambulance the way it is at 75, but we'll give 62 to each of the fire companies. So ambulance would stay at 75.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I believe, Rhonda, did you second that motion?
Yeah, well, I want to go back up. I do want to take a look at that. I want to make sure
And
that
I'm
the
on
fire
page
department-
39 of the booklet.
Okay, yeah, I'm there. I'm on page, yeah, I'm over there as well, and I'm looking at Orla's screen. But they had 75, that's going to 50. Okay, so all the budgets, all of them were at 55. Okay. I thought one of the departments had an error in what they had put down there. So I just wanted to make sure that we were putting everything uniform. So never
So
mind, I'm good with it. I'm seconding it.
But Rhonda, you're correct that, okay, in FY20, all of them were budgeted for 55. And then for department proposed, they were varying numbers. And it was Quinnebog that the way it was written down was 55, but they had actually requested 75. And so I had made a note in my booklet here that was their actual request. It's just that it carried through the Board of Selectmen at 55. So that's where that number differentiation came from. That I remember it just like you do. But what I'm looking to do is give everybody a $7,000 raise over last year by giving them 62 each.
Perfect.
So any other
I second
discussion on
that.
this motion? Got it.
I had a question, Aaron.
Any other
Rob
discussion?
Ward.
Go ahead, Rob.
I've got a question. So that line adjustment on page 40 is plus 82,000. Are you saying that now, so I got my math clear, that would change to a plus of 35 instead of a plus of 82?
7 times 5 is 35. That's what I'm proposing.
In replacement of the 82 in that line item. I'm just trying to understand the delta between what was proposed by the selectmen and what you're proposing. $48,000 lower.
So I don't believe so because I just want to make sure. So if all the fire companies and the ambulance are all in that one line item, then yes, I would flat fund the ambulance and I would give $35,000. 7 times 5 is 35 to the fire companies. So that would be 35, would it not?
That is correct. So
I thought
what
you were
he's
giving
looking
them
at,
62 each.
That's right. My proposal is that because each of them have 55 right now. And so if
Yes.
each get 62, that's $7,000 more for each, right? Is my math correct?
Correct.
So 7 times 5 is
Yes.
35, and we're flat funding the ambulance. So that should give us an increase of 35 on line item number 522500.
That is correct.
All right, cool. Any other discussion on this motion? Hearing none. Jim Belvance, how do you vote? Jim, you there?
Yes. Whoop, hold on.
You vote yes? Jim, I heard you, but I wasn't sure if you said yes to, if you said that you're voting yes or not.
He's muted right now.
All right, we'll come back to him. Rob Mann, how do you vote?
Yes.
Rhonda Rooney, how do you vote?
yes,
Rob Woods, how do you vote?
Yes.
Steve Herbert, how do you vote?
Yes.
Jim Bellavance, how do you vote?
Yes.
I'll vote yes. This one carries 6-0. Let's see. So then the next one will go down to that I saw. I know we already fixed canine control operation. We came down to, I have some thoughts on Public Works. We can come back to that if we're in a pinch. I know that their proposed total department increase is 21,076. I was going to ask if we could get that down to say 15 or something like that, but I'll just keep that note handy in case we have to come back to it.
Aaron,
I'm going to flip
this is Orla.
down.
Can I
Go ahead.
Just to
Go
give
ahead.
you a heads up, I did take a look at, I had sent the Board of Finance some calculations with regards to potential changes to both the diesel and the gasoline. So the combined changes to that are $20,000 reduction. So that's what that $20,000 is there for.
So we could take 20,000 out of Public Works budget, or it's already been taken?
Well, I've taken it in these proposed reductions. So I've already taken it at this stage. But I would like you guys to vote on it if it's what you want to do.
Okay, so then we would still have to formalize this. It's a recommended, so to speak.
Correct.
Great, so I'll make a motion that we reduce. Go ahead, Steve.
Just wondering, there's no salary change then? Is this just simply the fuel adjustment? Is that the only thing that's in this change?
Yes, and there's no salary increases in this department.
Gotcha. All right, I understand.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Cool. I'll make a motion that we reduce Public Works by $20,000. Is there a second?
I'll second the
second it.
motion. Rob Mann, Board of Finance.
Oh, Rob Mann, Board of Finance has the second. Any discussion on this? Discussion?
The only thing I would,
Okay.
does this impact
Steve.
our income? Because some of the fuel that we purchase, we resell to the fire departments, among others. Will this also impact our income on fuel?
Good question.
Rob, Steve, this is Orla. Yeah, I did take a look at it. It's not going to make that much of a substantial difference, so I didn't propose any changes to revenue at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Any other
one quick
discussion on this
question.
motion?
Just
Go
a
ahead,
quick
Rhonda.
question. It's kind of off topic a little bit, but if we're selling this fuel to the school and we have a reduction, we're going to sell it to them at a reduction as well. Is that not correct?
That is correct, yes.
Thank you. Okay, that's all I want to know. Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other discussion on the motion? Any other discussion? All right, we'll do a vote. Jim Belvance, how do you vote?
Yes.
Rob Mann, how do you vote?
Yes.
Rhonda Rooney, how do you vote?
Yes,
Bob Woods, how do you vote?
Yes.
Steve Herbert, how do you vote?
Yes.
I'll vote yes, that's 6-0. I know this is kind of small, but the next one down I see is on Parks, page 53. There was an increase of $1,800 for park maintenance. I was going to remove that $1,800 and just put it back down to $1,200, where it was last year.
So reduce the
Uh,
increase of 1,800?
That's right. So I'll make a motion that we reduce the, under Parks, Department 3203, line item 533345, park maintenance. I'll make a motion that we reduce that by $1,800, thus bringing it back down to $1,200. I make that in the form of a motion. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second the motion, and I also have a
Rhonda's
question.
got the second. Go ahead. Go ahead, Rhonda.
My question is that park money. I noticed that we had to put a ton of stone in on the riverbanks due to possible erosion over to the park because the river's so high. And I'm just wondering if there's enough money if we needed to continue that project because it is obviously if the river starts to go above, we need to protect that. So I just was wondering. That's just a question. So if we don't need it, I'm for it, taking it out, but.
Well, this is Steve, Board of Finance. I can't answer that particular question, but the $1,800 was for, I believe, a specific purpose or reason, or was coming from another department or something. Maybe Amy could help us. This wasn't just a, sort of normal, quote, kind of normal type of increase, inflation or anything. This is some for a specific project, if my memory is right. Maybe, Amy, could you help us out on that?
Rob Mann, Board of Finance. Leslie is on chat saying she can speak about it.
Okay.
Recreation Director.
Go ahead, Leslie. If Leslie can be unmuted, or Leslie, if you can unmute yourself.
Okay, there we go.
Ahead, Leslie.
Yeah, I can speak to that. So I worked with Rich on the development of the parks budget, and it was the $1,800 was a couple of different projects, some cleanup of graffiti at Heritage Way, and some lighting that's out at Riverside Park. Additionally, as Rhonda mentioned, the embankment. So we did a walkthrough on a warm Saturday in January and identified a few projects. And so that was where the increase, and additionally some repairs to some playground equipment. So we identified several and requested the additional $1,800 for those projects.
Okay. Any other discussion on this? Hearing none, Jim Belvance, how do you vote?
Yes.
Rob Mann,
Yes.
Rhonda Rooney,
Yes.
Rob Orge,
Yes.
Steve Herbert.
Yes.
I'll vote yes. This one carries 6-0. The next one down that I noticed that was on the recommended list is building official. And what I have printed out my page that I got, the original was $8,275. That was the number that I had seen. Let's just make sure that's still correct.
What page is that, Aaron?
Oh, that's on page 61 in the printout. Looks like that's moved to 9584. Is that correct?
Yes, I took a look at the dollars, and the actual dollar amount in here is 9584.
Okay, so I'm going to make a motion that we reduce building official by $9,584. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Sounded like Jim Belvance had the second?
Yep.
Okay, so discussion on that motion. Discussion.
This is Steve. Just again, a comment on this one. This is, I believe, an increase in hours, and it's essentially the hours are basically being worked now, and we're just really recognizing the pay for that, or something along that line. This isn't just a sort of a normal 2% kind of increase type of approach. This is to recognize hours that are being used. Am I right on that? Maybe Amy, you could comment if I
Yes,
just trying to recall the conversation.
I have it in front of me here up the screen. Yes, it is. It's the additional hours that were proposed by the department head. This one's kind of up in the air. It's really up to you guys. I didn't get the opportunity to talk to the department head because of the schedules involved. But based on the other reductions that we were making, this one was added to the list. If there's anybody here that can talk for the reasons as to why we should necessarily keep this here, work away. It sounds like, Steve, that might be a question that you have.
Yeah, I just want to make sure it says appropriate. This isn't sort of the normal type of increase. This is more recognition of what's actually happening. If my memory serves me right, and I may be wrong.
Rob,
Maybe could comment. I know she they chaired that meeting.
Go ahead, Rob Ward.
Sorry, Steve, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, no.
You are correct. You are correct, Steve. And Amy backed that up with an email that gave us the data around the number of permits, both new construction, residential permits, and commercial permits. And it showed a significant amount of increase. I don't have the numbers up in front of me, but it backed up the rationale around why the increase was there and the fact that it is more hours worked to keep up with the activity that's in the office, Steve. And in addition to that, there's also revenue that's coming in that it should help offset some of this. It's certainly not one for one, but with more activity and more permits, there's more revenue coming in too. So I think we should, I would support leaving this one in, given the amount of activity. It's good for the town. It's positive for the town, for people increasing the values in their home and building new homes.
And this is Steve and Rob. I think I'm going to agree with you on this. Maybe reduce the amount of increase, but I think eliminating the increase entirely isn't really fair.
Aaron McGarrett, Board of Finance, and so the question I would raise is how much activity, and this can't be answered because one can drive only by looking out the windshield, not by looking in the rearview mirror. But my question is, how much activity can we expect to see in this area if we're experiencing the kind of economic contraction that a lot of the experts are telling us that we're going into in the next 2, 3, or more years? I wonder if the numbers are going to be, I can't imagine they're going to be as robust as they have been the last 2 or 3 years. And of course, the unanswered question is just how much of a contraction would make its way to Thompson in the form of building permits.
The
Again,
crystal
Stephen,
ball. The crystal ball.
You raise a good point. And maybe half of the increase or something like that. I think it'll be unfair to this employee with this approach, with just eliminating entirely. And I assume if the work isn't there, then you don't pay.
So I believe, who made the second on this one? Was it,
Ron,
I know I made the motion. Rhonda? All right,
yes.
so Rhonda, I'd be willing to restate my motion as giving the building official a $4,500 increase. $4,500 increase.
Okay, I'll second that.
Okay, let's wait for Orla to make that change. Okay. Any discussion on that?
Well, this is Steve. I think that's more appropriate. And thank you for the modification.
Agree with you, Steve. Thank you for pointing that out.
Rob Mann, Board of Finance.
Any more discussion?
Nope, I just agree with Steve.
Great, thank you. All right, any more discussion? Hearing none. Jim Belvance, how do you vote?
Yes.
Rob Mann,
Yes.
Rhonda,
Yes.
Rob Wurge,
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
I'll vote yes. This one carries 6-0. I'm going to make a note here. So we did $4,500. Okay. I'm going to flip down to see if I find any more of these recommendeds. So next one is library administration. That's page 71. And I see that there was a recommended to take $6,500. So now it's 6804.
Yes.
All right, I make a
Where is
motion
that?
to take
Where is that coming from, Aaron?
So
So
I'll go to the page and I'll show you guys, okay?
I suspect 4,000 is. I suspect 4,000 of it is coming from the book line, which is called content, because I know that that was mentioned as a possibility further back, probably about 3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so the original increases, the proposed increases included salary increases, which we took out. The only thing we left in was minimum wage increases, which are going to happen, so we need to leave those in as a fact. But you're right, there was a proposed increase of $4,000 on the books line. I have it highlighted there, which we've taken out. So that's where you have $4,000. So now we have an increase, proposed increase of 4,034, which is only the minimum wage and the $500, which is sublimation contract.
So I'll make a motion, this is Aaron McGarry, I'll make a motion that we reduce the library administration budget by $6,804. Do I have that correct?
Let me bring it up here. Yes,
Thank you.
6804.
6804, discussion on this motion? Any discussion?
Is there any
Hearing none?
are
Go
there any
ahead.
hour increases, Aaron? Are there any hour increases,
Don't
not
know.
rate increases?
No. There's
I'll
no.
second
I
that.
asked
And
because,
Board of Finance.
one second, I asked because the sheet that Orla is showing has 35 hours. I don't see that on my sheet.
So, let me just bring up the printed page. Rob, if you could ask your question again, please. Okay, go ahead. What was your question?
My question is, are there any increases in hours? Not in rate, but in hours?
There is no increase in hours.
And the $3,000 that's staying for minimum wage, can you show me that, please?
It's on this line item. So the increase that's proposed here is $2,134. Actually, that dollar amount is wrong. I put in 3,500, it should be 2,100, but this relates to the minimum wage change.
Okay.
So I can actually change this here if you just bear with me a sec.
Thank you.
Okay, so the, let me just bring back to what.
Or are you breaking up?
Proposal now will be. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, hang on.
Thanks, Orla.
Okay, so we are back to library administration. So that's going to change. So just bear with me 1 second. I want to make sure I give you the right amount in here, okay?
Thanks, Orla.
Okay, so the.
For all your help.
Okay, so we're looking at a reduction of 8204.
Got it. So then, if I have this correct, it's 8204, so 8204. So then I'll make a motion that we reduce the library administration budget by 8204. Is there a second to that?
I'll second.
I'll
it.
second that, Aaron.
Was that Rob Wirge?
Yes, it was.
Okay, any discussion on this? Discussion? Discussion. The motion is to reduce by 8204. Discussion? Okay. Jim Bellavance, how do you vote?
Yes.
Rob Mann?
Yes.
Rhonda?
Yes.
Rob Wirge?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
I'll vote yes. This one carries 6-0. Okay. I'm going to flip down. It looks like Library Community Center Building. This is page 73 in the booklets. I see a recommended reduction of $5,499. Looks like it's still there. So I'll make a motion that we reduce Department 5102 Library/Community Center Building by $5,499. Is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
Sounds like Jim's got the second. Any discussion on this?
For Aaron, Rob Wirge, Board of Finance, I would
Go ahead,
like
Rob.
clarity on the redundant line items between the repairs in building 522260, $25,000. Then we have another $25,000 on transfers. for repairs and buildings. We could wait and discuss it back on transfers if we want, or we could discuss it here.
Well, I'm not sure whether Allison is here. Allison, are you on the call?
I am.
Okay, would you like to talk on that behalf?
Sure, the transfer account is pretty much to replace for its capital projects, to replace major systems or major repairs. Whereas the operating budget is pretty much to manage typical HVAC repairs for, I hate to say daily use, but expected repair issues, as opposed to replacing HVAC units or dealing with replacing the oil tank lines as we had to do this past winter. So the capital transfer building account is for major replacement systems of system failures.
Allison, thank you for that. And thank you for, on the first pass through on the kind of the proactive reductions, the library, you took out the roof, funding the roof, 25,000, and a few other things you were aggressive about reducing costs. So I want to acknowledge that. The question is, do we need both? I know we need both, but do we need both this year? Can we do one or the other and merge those 25 and 25 to, instead of 50, go forward with $25,000?
I'd hate to do that.
For this year?
I see where you're going, and I wish I could say I want to be brave enough to say let's take a chance. And yet, with the building being 26 years old now, I have 20 years in it myself now, which is crazy. But the number of systems that are starting to do a failure, I've mentioned before on some of these meetings. This year, we have to address the telephone system. We're getting to the point where there's some repairs or systems that need to be replaced that will become safety issues. And that's kind of how I see the phone system needing to be replaced. We've sat on and deferred some things for a while now that is catching up with us. We will have to spend more on repairs in light of not being able to replace certain things. And that makes me nervous. I try to propose replacement of systems once we've reached a tipping point of we've spent enough money trying to address this with repair funds. So like I said, I wish I could be more positive in terms of, yes, let's try to cut it a little thinner. But I'm deferring replacements. I have 2 leaking valve pumps in the boiler room. We had a flood in the boiler room 2 weeks ago. And I should replace both valve seals units to the tune of $5,400. I can't. So we're doing one. We're doing the worst one now. But when the boilers are shut off because of the nature of the system, that's still going to be a slow leak. And I still have to leave a catch bucket in the boiler room until I have new funds to go forward and repair the other unit that's an issue. So there's a lot. We're getting to the point where we're not going to be able to do a number of things, which will reflect on the look of the building. That is concerning, and yet it is how it is. And so a deeper reduction would concern me.
Thank you. I hate to even ask the question, similar to asking Rich to wait on the truck another year. I don't have any other questions, Aaron.
Okay.
But I would recommend an additional cut of the 50,000 to 25 and 25 beyond the 54.99 that you're proposing.
Can I ask a question here? Did we already cut the 25 out of the capital expenditure?
No, that was the roof. That was for the roof. We didn't cut it out of the capital. Yeah, we didn't touch the repairs.
So that did stay in there. Okay.
As of this time, my understanding.
I'm sorry. The roof is out or in? Orla,
the roof is to come out. I don't know that it's been taken out yet.
Right. I know the roof is on the recommended list, but I don't believe it's been taken out.
I don't know in terms of Orla's calculations if that's been factored yet.
I would like to make a motion to take the 25,000 out of the roof and then leave the repairs in.
Wait. Can we come back to this after we finish with the, I just
Sure.
want to go through
Yep.
this. That's it.
Perfect.
And Rhonda, I've got the same thought. I'm willing to take that 25 out of the roof too. But I just want to keep going where we are and then we'll get to it.
Perfect.
So I don't even remember if I made a motion to take 5499. Does anybody remember if I made a motion yet?
I don't think so.
And if not, then I'm going to make a motion that we take 5499 out of Department 5102 Library/Community Center Building. That's I made that motion. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
I'll second it.
Rhonda's got the second. So that's 5499 coming out of Department 5102. Any discussion on this? Hearing none. Jim Bellavance, how do you vote?
Yes.
Rob, how do you vote?
Yes, Rob Mann.
Rhonda?
Yes.
Rob Wurge?
Yes.
Steve Herbert?
Yes.
I'll vote yes, that's 6-0. The next one that I noticed was in Recreation Commission, and at least on the printout that I have, it was a little bit confusing because it was kind of broken into line items. And so I just want to make sure, because it said, there you go, you got it, Orla. It's 3188, but then there's other things down below. So do those, I should have done this before I opened my big mouth, but do those other things add up to 3188, or are they in addition to 3188?
No, they're in addition to 3188. The total proposed is 5678 of a reduction.
So 5678. So I'm going to make a motion that we reduce Department 5301 Recreation Commission by $5,678. Is there a second to that?
Second.
Sounds like that was Jim Bellavance.
Yep.
Discussion on this motion? Hearing none. Jim, how do you vote?
Yes.
Rob Mann?
Yes.
Rhonda?
Yes.
Rob Wurge?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
I'll vote yes, that's 6-0. Next one down is Planning and Zoning Commission, that's page 83 and 84. And it looks like there was a recommendation that we reduce it by 5523.
Excuse me, Aaron, this is Orla.
Go ahead, Orla.
I just want to bring to your attention and I want to bring up this department. The majority of this increase is an increase in hours and an increase in pay. And in light of the discussion that came up about the building official, I thought it'd be a good idea to bring up the department to show you what these decreases are. So they had
Great.
proposed here a change in the salary from a part-time hourly position to a part-time salary position. This involved based on so the current rate of pay is $20.78. This was based on a $25 per hour and for 19.5 hours. Currently, the budget is 18. So you could look at this in two different ways. It's tied into a pay increase, and there's also a tied into an additional hours. I had proposed just eliminating both, but based on what we were discussing with regards to the building official, do you guys want to have a discussion about keeping the hours increase?
Meaning increase the hours, but not the pay rate?
Yes,
Then can we do the math? What would that look like?
sure,
Thanks, Orla.
no problem.
And, Orla, is it going to put her in a position to need benefits as well, or no?
No. So that will be an increase of $1,627. So I would reduce the proposal here by $1,627. Should you?
1627?
Yes.
Then I'll make a motion that we reduce Department 6101 Planning and Zoning Commission by $1,627. $1,627. Is there a second to that motion?
Aaron, I think the reduction is 3898. The increase for the department is 1627 versus
Sorry, you're
right. Then I'll-
5523.
Right, you're right.
Okay, it's, because I was looking for the amount to reduce it by.
Yep.
So I'm going to withdraw the 1627 motion, and instead I'm going to make a motion to, if I follow this correctly, going to make a motion to reduce 6101 Planning and Zoning Commission by 3898.
I'll second that, Aaron.
All right, thank you, Rob Wurge. Any discussion on this? Hearing none, this is motion and second to reduce Planning and Zoning Commission by $3,898. Jim, how do you vote?
Yes.
Rob Mann,
Yes.
Rhonda,
Yes.
Rob Wurge,
Yes.
Steve Herbert.
Yes, I just want to make a little comment here. The comment that's printed on the page I'm looking at, I think it's to keep increase in hours, not dollars.
Oh, sorry.
I'll vote yes. I'll vote yes. So that's 6-0. The next one that I noticed that had a recommended reduction to it was page 92. That's economic development. And the recommended reduction that I saw was $12,500.
So that was an error. That was a typo. It's actually $5,000, not $12,500.
Got it. So then the recommended reduction is an even 5,000?
Correct.
Okay, great. So then I'll make a motion that we reduce Department 6205 Economic Development Commission by $5,000. Is there a second to that motion?
Rob Mann, second that motion.
Rob Mann's got the second. Any discussion on this?
Are we eliminating the intern entirely? Is that what we're doing in this department?
I think Tara's here. She can answer to that.
Yes, I am here. What was the question, Steve? I'm sorry.
Is this eliminating the interim, the intern, I'm sorry, the intern? Is that what, is this?
No. The intern is kept. In fact, Orla's got it there in the sidebar where the reductions came from. We have those three main projects we're working on. The pop-up retail village, which we should have a completed plan for soon. The interconnected projects over at 65 Main and the development of the train wreck park. I took essentially 20% out of each of those, which is where the 5,000 came from. So it preserves the intern as presented.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on this motion? Hearing none. Jim Bellavance, how do you vote?
Yes.
Rob Mann,
Yes.
Rhonda,
Yes.
Rob Wurge,
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
I'll vote yes. This one carries 6-0. I'm assuming that on page 96, fringe benefits, there's no movement, there's no room, there's no good news there.
Not at the moment.
Okay. Same thing for municipal insurance.
That is correct.
Okay. And so then the next one after that is back to transfers. That puts us at page 101 on our booklets. And coming back to Rhonda's recommendation, I will make a motion that we remove $25,000 from the library roof fund. Is there a motion? Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, so there's a motion that's been made and seconded to remove $25,000 from the library roof fund. Is there any discussion on that?
I just would sort of recap Rob Wurge's comments that maybe there's additional room in the repairs as well, but I agree with what's at least this.
One question for Aaron. If we remove this, there'll still be a line item there for us to add funds in next year, correct?
Orla, that sounds correct to me, yes?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
We're just not adding to the fund, that's all.
Mhm.
Any other discussion on this? Jim, how do you vote?
Yes.
Rob Mann,
Yes.
Rhonda,
Yes.
Rob Wurge,
Yes.
Steve.
Yes.
I'll vote yes. So I'm going to take my pen and I'm going to draw a line through that. I'm also going to make a motion that we remove $3,100 from the Little League complex improvements. That's in the form of a motion. Does someone want to second that motion?
I'll second that.
Sounded like Jim?
Yep.
So there's a motion made and seconded to remove $3,100 from Little League complex improvements. Discussion on this. Hearing none. Jim?
Yes.
Rob Mann?
Rob Mann, yes.
Rhonda?
Yes.
Rob Wurge?
Yes.
Steve Herbert?
Yes.
I'll vote yes, that this one passes 6-0. I'm going to draw a line through it in my book. I know that earlier in the budget season, we talked about reval and how we could make do with $40,000 instead of $50,747. So what I'd like to do is remove, I'm just gonna, I'll make a motion to reduce $10,747 from revaluation. Is there a second to that?
Just bear with me. I got to bring up the sheet and make sure I'm doing it correctly, okay?
It's okay. Yep, take your time, Olive.
Okay, so the proposal is 50,747, and you're looking to take how much out of this?
10,747.
Okay. So the plan would be is just to fund 40,000?
Yeah, I believe earlier in the budget season, we had discussed that we could get away with doing 40 this year.
Okay, that's fine.
So I've made that in the form of, go ahead.
No, I'm good.
So I've made that in the form of a motion that we reduce revaluation by 10,747. Is there a second to that motion?
Rob Mann,
I'll
I'll
second.
second that.
Rob Mann's got the second. Any discussion on this? Hearing none. Jim, how do you vote?
Yes.
Rob Mann,
Rob Mann, yes.
Rhonda,
Yes.
Rob Wurge,
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
I'll vote yes. This one passes 6-0. Okay, so roll-off truck.
Jim Bellavance, Board of Finance. I just got to make a comment. I completely agree with Rich. I'm not going to agree with anything else. He's got money left over from snow removal, and we can buy this truck outright with his current budget, and we won't have to worry about it. I just really feel as though if he does actually have the money in the budget, I understand it goes into our little bank account after that, but the money's there. It's not extra money. I just really feel as though this is something we really should take a look at. And again, it's keeping away from debt, additional debt service too. So I'm just going to make that comment.
Thank you, Jim. I just want to make one comment as well, because I'm more big picture, not on this particular item in particular, but we still have to look at the school side of the budget as well as the rest of this budget. And so I'm thinking, obviously they're going to need something. So I'm thinking at the end of the day, we may have to take out a fund balance just to bring this budget down even further, so that less money goes out to the taxpayer. So that's why I'm looking at fund balance for it to roll over and go into that, so that we might need that just to put this, just to balance this budget, if you will.
Anyone else?
Rob Wurge, Board of Finance. We
Go ahead,
talked
Rob.
about this
Go ahead.
last, and I want to reconfirm. Orla said that while Rich's department was under budget on the salt, that those funds are not there. When they roll into the general fund, there's no balance left at the end of the year. Special ed and other circumstances within the town ate that up. So Orla, could you confirm, is it there or is it not there?
So at the moment, we have a balance of $135,000, I believe, in salt. If we were not to open a purchase order and encumber it at the end of the year, or if the Board of Finance chooses not to transfer that money it to another source, it will go back to the fund balance.
So it is there then.
It is there
Let me
right
be
now.
clear.
This is
Okay,
Steve.
Thank you.
I appreciate, Steve, Board of Finance. I appreciate the, Rich's explanation of the need for it, but it sounds like we could make it through another year, and this is a year that's going to be a tough one as it is. So I would suggest holding off, seeing if we can make it through another year with the current equipment.
Anyone else? This is probably the most painful motion I've made so far tonight. Sorry, Rich, but I'm going to make a motion that we remove $43,478 from roll-off truck. Is there a motion? Is there a second to that motion?
I would second that motion. Rob Ward.
Sounds like Rob Woods has got the second on that one. Any discussion on this? Hearing none. Jim, how do you vote?
No.
Rob Mann?
Yes.
Rhonda?
Yes.
Rob Wurge?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
I'll vote yes. Sorry again, Rich.
No, that's okay.
Salt shed. I want to move forward with some kind of something. I wonder if 50,000 is really necessary. I know that earlier in the evening we were talking about maybe doing 25. I wonder if we can even get away with 20. If we can get away with 20, I'll just make that motion right now.
I'll go for the 25,
Aaron,
please.
Yep.
can I interrupt for a second? Orla
Go
said
ahead.
she was going to get that information. She was going to get that information from Woodstock to find out how much it costs to put the initial project together. So I don't know if we can wait on this one before we actually make a motion, or we can move forward without it. But I just wanted to mention that.
I wonder if we can
No.
bring it down, and if we have to add back to it, then we can just add back to it.
We could. Yep, we can do that.
I'd love to make a motion that we take $30,000 out of this, so that way we're left with 20. And if for some strange reason we need more than 20, we can just put 5 back in. But for now, what I'll do is I'm going to make a motion that we reduce salt shed design by $30,000, thus leaving $20,000. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second the motion.
Rob Word just got the second. Any discussion on this?
This is Steve again. I just want to make sure that under the description, it's really salt shed analysis / design, because I think, we brought this up a couple times. We want to make sure we're doing the right thing in the right place and consider all options, not just automatic, assume we've got to rebuild it where it is kind of thing. So again, that may be where we end up doing it, but I'd like to make it a little bit broader thought here. But
Rob Ward.
Steve, well said.
Your idea.
Go ahead, Rob Word.
I was just going to say that I agree with Steve on this. I think that we need to be very open, take a very open approach on it. It should be an analysis and design. We should understand the problem. All the things we talked about in the past, we've gone through this item a few times, and I don't think we should just approve the money and then design the building. If we need to do that in the end, let's do that. But I think we should go slow here and go fast later, and really understand the extent of the problem and what the different remedies are.
Any other discussion on this? Jim, how do you vote?
Yes.
Rob Mann,
Yes.
Rhonda,
Yes.
Rob Word,
Yes.
Steve.
Yes.
I'll vote yes. This one carries 6-0. The next one down that I was able to find for recommended is in contingency fund. That's on page 106. And the recommendation was to remove $25,000 from contingency fund. It's Department 8155. Is
So
that
Aaron,
still
I
accurate, Orla?
corrected that. So it would be an elimination of, I gotta correct this here. Let me just, so basically the current increase would be 55,000. So we're looking to, hang on a second. Let me just bring up the department, okay?
Sure, take your time.
Okay, so we typically budget 75,000. We were adding a dollar amount this year to justify the proposed increase. That brings us up to 130. In review of what we have and the need, my suggestion is take it actually 100,000 out of this proposal of 130 and have a revised proposal of 30,000. So we'd actually be taking out, of the increase, we would be taking out, oh, hang on a second.
All of it.
Well, that would be
My eyes are
like
tired.
45.
So, yeah, it'd be 45. We would be taking out 45,000. So therefore, the proposed decrease for this would be $35,000 or $45,000. So I'll make that correction here, okay?
So I
Sorry,
just want to
my
make
eyes are
sure
getting
because
tired. I'm looking at the
it's
same
just-
number.
I just want to make sure because the booklet that I have on page 106, it calls for a $55,000 increase. Did that somehow get changed between when this book was printed and tonight as a
No,
result of other things we've done in other parts of this budget?
No, it's still $55,000 was the original proposed increase. So what we're suggesting that instead of a increase of 55,000, we would have a decrease of 45.
So that's it. I just wanted to make sure that I make the motion correctly. So therefore, I make a motion that we reduce Department 8155 contingency fund by $100,000. Is that correct?
Let me think about this for a sec. I want to make sure I'm giving you the right motion. Oh, okay.
Yeah, because 55 to the plus minus 100 gets you down to 0 plus further into negative, which gets you down to 45.
Okay, thank you. I had it right. I just wanted to make sure.
Yep. So that means we're going to reduce Department 8155 contingency fund by $100,000. That's a motion. Is there a second to the motion?
So is that going to leave us with 30,000 in there? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Rob Mann, I'll
I
second
just
that
want,
motion.
okay, so Rob Mann's got the second, just to clarify. Go ahead, discussion on the motion.
I have a question, Rob Wurge.
Go ahead, Rob.
Does that leave us with 35 as Rhonda just asked, Orla? Or is there more? We talked last time on the 75 for this year, we'd only spent 3,000. So you're really dropping it down that low because we're carrying forward a significant amount in contingency?
No, I'm dropping it down low because a large percentage of what is in there was the proposed increase in salaries.
Got it.
Oh.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
This doesn't actually get carried forward.
Yeah, I got it. Thank you, Steve.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Jim Bellavance, how do you vote?
Yes.
Rob Mann?
Yes.
Rhonda?
Yes.
Rob Wurge?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
I'll vote yes. This one carries 6-0. I believe the only place that we have not revisited tonight is the education budget, and I would propose, because it's 9:30 p.m., perhaps we save this one for Thursday.
Before we finish, can we take a look at where we are for on the front
Absolutely.
page as actually against our goal, if you will, or our projected goal that you had out there?
If they carry over to that page, if the calculations do carry over to that page.
Okay.
Just give me a second here. I'm just going to double check.
I know.
Sure. Okay. So what we're looking at is a reduction of 422,000. So I want to see how that looks on here. So if we start, this brings us to 25.96. If we start at a 23.97 mill rate, we're now showing an increase of 1.99 mils.
Okay.
So Orla, what is the dollar amount to bring that to the other three suggestions that we had up on before?
Okay, let me just make sure I have the right information here to get to a mill rate of, okay, hang on a second. I just need to change the budget here to what we're looking at right now, so just bear with me a second.
We're
No
patient.
problem. We appreciate it.
Take your time, Orla.
Okay, so to bring us to a half, we still need $1,053,000.
How much is that?
$1,053,736.
Let me write that down,
1
please. Hold on a second. Actually, let me just take a screenshot. Hold on.
Sure.
So Orla, Rob Wurch, Board of Finance, what was the total reduction?
Okay,
On the
that's what I'm
town
gonna
side?
go back to actually to show you guys. So Aaron, can I make a suggestion on two different changes, which will bring us up
Go
to
ahead.
22,000? They're very minor. One is a
ahead.
correction debt service, which will be a reduction of $623. And this is just something as I was going through all the departments I noticed. And the other thing was an increase on the veteran services. By a mistake, I left out the travel in the Board of Selectmen proposed, so it wasn't part of the proposal that was presented to you guys. So I'd like to add in $1,200 for travel for veteran services, if that's possible.
And what, it's 4102?
It's 4102.
Okay. Okay, and that looks like page 67 in our booklets. And I noticed, I've got a notes here from earlier in the budget season that says, should we be adding this back? And it was $1,500 for travel or yeah, it was $1,500 for travel, 12. So that means we had a thorough discussion about this. And if I had put a note here, it's because others had chimed in to that effect as well. I'll make a
Aaron?
motion that we add 12. Go ahead.
I was going to say that if my memory serves me correctly, they had zeroed the budget out because they were no longer going to need to pay for transportation using a company vehicle instead of Bob LeBeau driving his car, et cetera, et cetera. So,
Well, actually, Rhonda, yes, you're right. You are right. But on further discussion with Amy, I believe Amy and I chatted about this. There are other people that we reimburse for travel besides Bob. Bob is choosing to use the town car, so therefore the proposal is reduced from $1,500 to $1,200. But there are other individuals that we reimburse for their own transportation. So that's why what I'm suggesting leaving in $1,200.
no, I think it's really important to leave in $1,200 for transportation for the veterans. So
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So under Department 4102 Veteran Service, in the specific line item 522140 travel, I'm going to make a motion that we add $1,200. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Rhonda's got the second. Any discussion on this? Hearing none. Jim Bellavance, how do you vote?
Yes.
Rob Mann?
Yes.
Rhonda?
Yes.
Rob Wurge?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
I'll vote yes. This one carries 6-0. And then, let's see, 80, it's 8150, that's the department?
Yes.
Okay, so 8150, that's page 103. And we are reducing $623 from Department 8150 debt retirement. I'll make that in the form of a motion that we reduce $623 from that section of the budget. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. Jim, how do you vote?
Yes.
Rob Mann?
Yes.
Rhonda?
Yes.
Rob Wurge?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
I'll vote yes. Carry 6-0. And so anything else for us to discuss before we adjourn for the evening?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
And so I just wanted to, hold on, I just wanted to remind Orla that Dick Trudeau had a question. Do we have any indication that the state will come through with the dollars that they are supposed to provide? Orla, if you can prepare some thoughts for that in time for the next meeting, that'd be great. Steve's got the motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Rob Mann, I'll second.
Rob Mann's got the second. All in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? Thank you very much, everyone. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Thank you. You too. Bye.